Guys, welcome back to The Glorious Pirate. It's my episode 3 of my little mini-series of the Great Tournament. Like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you. A flag in the center was waved, and both opponents charged toward each other, mounted on their horses. Sir Roberts kept his lance up in the air. Thrall lowered his too quickly and had trouble maintaining its aim. At just the right moment, Sir Robert lowered his lance and hit Thrall with a perfect strike to the center of his chest, cracking the lance in half. Thrall missed completely. Thrall barely moved. His size and weight made him more like a tank than a human being. And even though Sir Robert's strike was true, it did very little damage. Sir Robert dropped what was left of his lance and grabbed another from one of his attendees. He quickly turned around and charged at Thrall again. Thrall did the same, but was not as quick as Roberts. Just like the previous attack, Sir Roberts lowered his lance at just the right moment. He hit Thrall hard on his shoulder this time. Thrall managed to slightly hit Robert, but it was brushed aside by his shield. The blow Thrall received seemed more powerful this time and caused him to lean back. He had dropped his lance early in order to maintain control of his horse. Now came the third and final pass. Sir Robert gave Thrall a few seconds to compose himself and grab another lance before charging again. Sir Robert began to lower his lance like before, but he did something that Hadrian had never seen him do before. Rather than lower it all the way, he rested it slightly on his shield, so it was tilted up. When the two men met, he hit Thrall, smashing the end point of the lance directly into his face. Thrall lost his balance and fell off his horse. The crowd cheered. Robert took off his helmet and held it, what was left of his lance, high up into the air at the crowd. Thrall didn't move. For a few seconds it looked like he could be dead, until he rolled over and got up. He took off his helmet, which still had wooden splinters in it, and roared something at Sir Robert and started walking forward. Sir Robert dropped his lance, jumped off his horse, and signaled someone to give him his sword. Thrall's two attendants ran up and gave him a huge two-handed warhammer, which he seemed to wield in one hand like it weighed almost nothing. Thrall and Robert met. The Thrall did an overhead strike at Robert. Sir Robert dodged at just the right moment, and then he attacked, missed hitting the ground with a thud so loud that everybody in the arena heard it. Robert then attacked Thrall, seeing he was open and off balance, but his thick armor made his sword look more like a toothpick. With surprisingly fast speed, Thrall swung his warhammer around, catching Robert nearly off guard. Robert was able to put his shield up just in time to take most of the impact. His shield cracked under the heavy weight of the warhammer, and it caused Robert to fall to the ground, shield flying to his side. Thrall then ferociously attacked. Robert rolled to the right, dodging the blow. You had only seen Robert in this position like this in a handful of times. You pondered for a few moments, thinking, what would you do if you were in this situation? Choice 1. I would throw sand into his eyes of Thrall to blind him. Choice 2. I would wait for the right opportunity and strike. Choice 3. I would fight defensively and let Thrall tire. Isaiah?
3.
I would fight defensively and let Thrall tire, he said. Thrall is a beast of a man, but he was slow. If I could move around him and tire him, I should be able to get the upper hand. That's what he said. Sir Robert got up and held his sword with both hands, keeping some distance between him and Thrall. Thrall lifted his warhammer high in the air. Rather than dodging, Sir Robert jumped towards Thrall and stabbed him in the armpit. He had found a weak spot in his armor. Thrall grunted and swung his warhammer. Robert rolled past Thrall, spun around, and attacked Thrall's hamstrings, another weak spot in his armor. Thrall yelled in pain this time and fell to one knee. Robert continued his attack, and even though Thrall was on one knee, they stood at the same height. Thrall parried Robert's next blow with his warhammer and tried to stand back. Robert kicked Thrall hard to his knee, causing him to fall down again. Robert then put his sword blade too close to Thrall's neck. After a few seconds of hesitation, which seemed like forever, Thrall finally yielded. Robert held Thrall up and shook his hand. He then raised his sword in the air and looked at the crowd, who was cheering in excitement. Robert left to take off his armor and to prepare for the closing ceremonies. Vars started asking, what do you think Robert would ask from the governor as winner of the tournament? He would be granted a boon from the organizer. Most men asked for gold. titles, land, whatever suited them. After considering all this, Hadrian replies to Varus, I am not sure. You never know what with Sir Robert Gale. Varus put his hand to his chin and thought for a few seconds. Maybe he will throw gold to the crowd again. I'm going to go try to get closer to the arena. Are you coming? Option 1, sure. Option 2, no, I will stay here.
Option 1, I'm coming.
Alright, option 1. You and Varus got closer to the front of the arena. You could see some of the nobles closely now. A few of them were cheering, just like the crowd. You noticed one in particular had something of a scowl on his face. You figured more than likely the man had lost money, or perhaps he was jealous of Sir Robert. You learned a long time ago to never bet against Sir Robert in a match. You heard the boards beneath make noises. This dissuaded a few people from getting closer, but not Varus. The arena was getting old, and it was announced that this would be the last tournament for a while, at least until they rebuilt it. You wondered how long the rebuilding would take. Your thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a trumpet. Out walked the governor, several nobles, and other people of importance. They met Sir Robert and declared him the winner of the tournament. Aldrich moved forward to approach Sir Robert. He spoke loudly so the crowd could hear. As the winner, you have the right to select a boon of your choosing from the governor. Sir Robert smiled, and then he whispered something in Aldrich's ear. Aldrich consulted with the governor for a few minutes. You looked over and saw Varus getting ready to catch any gold that could come flying by. A few other watchers had the same idea. Aldrich told the crowd to calm down, and hush overtook the masses. When there was enough silence, Aldrich spoke again. Sir Robert's boon has been accepted by the governor. Today, he paused for a moment, and he looked over at the governor. And only today, the governor will pay for everyone's tavern bills. Essentially, food and drink are free. The crowd cheered so loudly you almost thought about covering your ears. The crowd dispersed. More likely, there would be a lot of drunk people out tonight. Varus ran up to you and asked if you had heard. After you nodded, he said, I haven't had a good meal in a long time. Quick, let's head to one of the smaller taverns before it gets too crowded. Perhaps the Black Swan. Before you could respond, Varus grabbed you and pulled you toward the exit. You ended up in the Black Swan 15 minutes later. It was already 3/4 full, but you managed to find a seat in the back. Varus ordered a round of beer for 4. The bar hand looked at him, puzzled, saying, but there are only 2 of you. Varus smiled and responded, 3 are for me. Come on now, and bring us some bread with cheese, a full roasted chicken, and some of that wonderful beef broth soup you're so well known for. The bar hand left, probably wondering when it was the last time someone ordered an entire roasted chicken. More men started gathering in the tavern, rushing towards the bar, ordering as many drinks as they could get. Varus looked over at you and said, with somewhat of a worried look, they know that Robert is paying for this bill, right? You responded, I think so, or at least, they will soon enough. You pointed at some of the governor's guard who had just walked into the tavern. They had a conversation with the owner of the tavern. He started to look upset when they mentioned the word free. He quickly changed his demeanor when they dropped a large bag of gold on the counter. The guards left in a hurry. Obviously, there were several other taverns to visit. Varus sighed a breath of relief. After some time, their food finally arrived. Varus looked a bit disappointed when he didn't see an entire roasted chicken, and instead just a few hunks of chicken in a bowl. What is this? He asked. Sorry, the owner said everyone could eat as much as they would like, but they would be limiting the portions, otherwise they would sell out within an hour, replied the girl. Besides, you could have eaten an entire roasted chicken by yourself. I would have liked to see you try, responded Varus. She put the drinks and food down, then left. A few beggars walked in and looked surprised when everybody started offering to buy them drinks. They were oblivious to what was going on. A few foreigners looked confused as well. When the owners reluctantly gave them back their money, Varus had eaten most of the food when he looked back at the table. For as long as you knew him, he could eat 3 times as much as the normal man, but still maintained his lanky figure. You decided to eat and drink as well, and finished just after Varus had convinced the bar hand to bring him a 3rd portion of chicken. After some time had passed, Varus got up and asked if you would like to play darts, which was his favorite game. You thought for a few seconds. Varus always won at darts, but at least it was challenging. What should you do? Play a game of darts, number 1. Play a drinking game. Number 2, don't play any games right now. Instead, stuff your face with as much free food as you can. Number 3. And number 4 is head home.
A drinking game, right? What is that?
Drinking game.
Drinking game? Vars groaned. This isn't fair. I've already had 3 drinks. Option 1, sounds fair to me. Option 2, does that mean you forfeit? Option 3, order 2 more drinks to make it fair.
Order 2 more drinks to make it fair.
Alright. Vars looked surprised. I was only kidding, mate. But if you are willing to even the odds, so be it. The bar hand began setting up the game. Vars frowned. What are the rules again? You spent a few minutes telling him the rules. He always seemed to forget them. Perhaps because he was always drunk, whenever you explained it to him. The Black Swan gave you 10 drinks. 3 were watered-down beer, 3 were normal beer, 3 were wine, and 1 was a concoction of something that tasted horrible and had more alcohol in it than anything else. They also gave you your opponent 10 drinks in the exact same order as yours. It was a bit of luck. It was a game of luck, fortitude, and perhaps a bit of acting too. People often made bets during the drinking game. Occasionally, you would pretend that you got wine when it was really watered-down beer. You and Vars rarely had any money to bet with. You mostly played for fun. A couple times you saw a draw, but usually whenever someone got the concoction of nearly pure alcohol, they would almost always lose. The bartender was the one that mixed up the flasks. The only rule was the same kind of drink you could never be next to each other. This resulted in a strategy in guessing drinks, since your opponent had to tell you what it was he or she drank, even though lying was often encouraged. Vars nodded. Oh, that's right. Okay, who's first? Number 1. I will go first. Number 2. Ladies first.
2.
Ladies first it is. Hopefully, Vars will pick the strong drink first. The bartender began to put 10 cups in front of you, and Vars, one at a time, he would pour liquid into them behind the counter and cover it with a piece of cloth. After a few minutes of this, there were 2 rows of identical drinks in front of you, and Vars, their contents hidden from view. Vars reached for a drink. Vars grabbed the drink. He took a sip, then jugged it, then gave a huge frown. Ugh, I hate the taste of watered-down beer, he says. You feel fine. Which drink do you pick? The first drink, the second drink, the third drink, the fourth drink, the fifth drink, the sixth drink, the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th? 10th drink. Next. You grabbed a 10th drink and gulped it down. It was wine. Vars reaches for a drink. Vars grabbed the second drink. He took a sip, then chugged it. He frowned. I was hoping for something stronger, he says. You feel a somewhat drunk. Which drink do you pick, Isaiah? 1st through 9th. 7. Next. You grabbed the 7th beer and gulped it down. Your throat begins to burn. It was the concoction. You have the sudden urge to cough and gasp for air. What do? Cough and grasp for air? Pretend it was a normal drink. Mom? Pretend it was a normal drink. That was Isaiah's too. You do a good job in suppressing the cough. Vars sighs. Damn, for the second there I thought you got the concoction. Vars laughs uncontrollably. I fooled you, Hadrian. Do you like my acting? Go ahead and cough. We both know it wasn't the concoction. You start coughing. Vars continues to laugh. Vars reaches for the next drink. Vars grabbed the first drink. He took a sip and chugged it. He frowned. I was hoping for something stronger. You're about to pass out. Which drink do you pick? What's that? 1. The first drink. You grabbed the first drink and gulped it. It was light beer. I can't take it anymore. Vars wins. What should you do? Play a game of darts? Don't play any games right now. Instead, stuff your face with as much free food as you can or head home.
Stuff our face.
Let's eat the food. Next, you eat until your stomach is stuffed. Alright guys, I'm going to have to end the episode here. It was a little longer than normal. I learned that you can record for up to 15 minutes.